Good morning. Today we're going to have a look at mothers and daughters and that very special bond that exists, how tricky the relationship is, and a few things that can help. So I don't know about you, but being the parent of teenagers and young adults, it's been an interesting journey, and I've learned a few things along the way. One of the things that people often say to me, and clients say to me as well, is they won't listen to me. And that's a pretty common feeling if you're the parent of a teenager. But I remember being pregnant with my first child and being told that they were going to be a boy. And I remember feeling and thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do with a boy? I don't know anything about raising a boy. Give me a girl. But I did. I got a girl. My second child was a beautiful little girl called Sarah. And I thought, okay, this is more like it. This is someone like me that I'm going to be able to relate to and treat well. And as we do as parents, I had these expectations in my head. And as we do as parents, these expectations are often, smashed, trampled on, not always met, of course, because they're our expectations, and this beautiful little human being we've been entrusted to, they're not us, even if they happen to share the same gender. So if you stay with me today, we're going to look at 5 different approaches that I found are really helpful with strengthening connection, strengthening the bond between mother and daughter. And probably no doubt you could use these for sons as well, but we're focusing on the mother and daughter relationship because it does have a uniqueness about it. Daughters can be mirrors. We're looking into them and we may see ourselves when we were younger, or we may see ourselves and be reminded of our youth and what we don't have now. As we're aging, our daughters are developing and growing and becoming beautiful young women, and we're coming more and more invisible as we age in society. So it's an interesting thing to deal with as a mum. So what are the 5 things? In no particular order, these are things I think are really important characteristics to develop if you want a great relationship, even if your relationship is problematic. And the first one is flexibility. It's being flexible with them. How do they communicate? If they're sending you a text, if they're commenting on your social media, if they're messaging you or through Instagram or however they're choosing to communicate with you, use that medium. That can be a great crack to get in to open up face-to-face conversations. So don't discount that. It's a valuable way, however they want to communicate with you. Maybe they might write you a note, and that's perfectly okay too. We know that almost half of young adults, adolescents, suffer from some type of problematic social anxiety, and they're still managing their emotional regulation. So communication isn't easy. It's not easy for us as adults, and it's certainly not easy for them. The other thing with flexibility is, the time. Because I've noticed at times that I'm going to bed and they've only been up for a few hours, which makes it tricky. So, be aware of their rhythms and what's going on for them. And flexibility in terms of where you communicate. It could be in the car. It could be while you're waiting for appointments. Take the opportunity to notice them in those situations. Even if you're waiting somewhere and they're playing a game, you might be able to join in with them. It's being flexible with how you view opportunities for communication. That's a huge one. So number 2 is acceptance. So I touched before on expectations, and I've talked about expectations a fair bit, and because it does keep coming up. Acceptance of them. Whatever's going on for them, whatever stage they're at, there's going to be changes, and being able to just accept them for who they are is such a valuable gift to give them. You know, Brene Brown talks about, you know, connections being, you know, when you feel seen, heard and valued, you know, without judgment. It's a wonderful gift to be able to give to your daughter. Now, another one is time. Making the time, because so many of us are time poor. You know, I choose to work part-time, which means I do have more time than I know a lot of you do to just be in the house and be around. It doesn't mean sometimes I'm not sitting there and all by myself while they're doing their own stuff, but you know, I really value and appreciate the opportunity just to be around and be there for them. If you don't have that luxury and that privilege, you know, whatever time is there, be aware to aim at making a connection. All right, make sure when they leave the house that you look up from whatever you're doing and say goodbye. Tell them you love them. You know, take that time to add those little things on. Very, very precious. So with flexibility, acceptance, time, curiosity. If you can approach what's going on with your daughter with curiosity and a sense of wonder, what's going to happen next? What are their passions? What are they enjoying? What are they going to come out with next? Mine never cease to surprise me. And don't judge them, because I don't judge. But you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to come out of their mouth. We've been entrusted with this human being on their journey. It's not easy. I am no way saying this is easy. You know, we've had so many trials and tribulations over the years. But being able to step back out of your own space, your own expectations, and take on that approach of curiosity, it's a huge shift in how you see your relationship with your child. And the fifth one I'm going to mention today is forgiveness. I firmly believe that each morning when you get up, you and your child start with a fresh slate as much as possible. You forgive yourself for what you didn't do. You forgive them for what they didn't do. And you approach the day with a sense of equanimity. Let's see what's going to happen today. Let's try again today. Let's all do our best again today. And when you're approaching that way with an open heart and, you know, letting go or letting be any of the resentment, you know, not allowing it to flow over and colour your day, that just releases the pressure on you and everyone else. So they're the 5 things that I've shared with you today. We have curiosity, we have time, flexibility, acceptance and forgiveness. So what happens if you can do those things? If you can do those things in the context of seeing, hearing and valuing your child without judgment, deeper connection. You know, that bond is strengthened or perhaps repaired. You will find things in common. And when you're actually making that approach and approaching your relationship that way, it opens up opportunities that you was unaware of. Different ways to connect that you might never have thought of. Opportunities to be honest with each other. You know, your child and your daughter will know that no matter what happens in her life, she can come to you and you will listen to her. That is the most amazing gift. No? I treasure the relationships that I have with my mum and with my daughter. And they're not always relationships that have come easy. It takes this type of work and this type of approach. But well worth the rewards. It's what happens if you don't. If you stay with a fixed expectation and disappointment that your child is not what you wanted, you know, they're not as happy as you want them to be. They're not as loved. They don't go out as much. They didn't score as well. They're not doing the course you want to do. Whatever it is, if you're holding on to that, how does that feel? I know it would feel heavy. And you can release that. You can release that load. You do not need to carry that load at all. Okay, so if this is making sense, there's a few different things I'd like to suggest to you. Number one, I'm more than happy to work with you online or face-to-face to go through some of these issues, because I understand the real problems and barriers that can happen in these relationships. Secondly, you might want to go back and listen to some of the earlier podcasts about expectations. I have a free resource which dives a bit into expectations and overwhelm. And there's something very special that my daughter and I are launching together that we're working on at the moment, so keep an eye out for that. It's all about how you can improve connections with each other in a fun, exciting sort of way. Thank you for listening. I really, really enjoy bringing this to you, and I hope that you find it useful. If you do, I would love to know that you do, either by sending me a comment or a message, or if you're listening to this on the podcast, a review. Just it's all appreciated. Thanks for listening, and until next time, don't forget, take good care of yourself. Okay, bye guys.